exactly the feedback that happened directly to the instrument. But usually that's not the way it works, because there's not a lot of control, and especially musicians don't want to give their instruments away. But I'll give you another example, which brings me to audience participation. And this is from an actual study where smartphones of the audience control the sound of the guitar. And this was a club concert, like 70, 80, 100 people, 150, I don't know. And all the audience member you see, I mean, it's a very bad image, but that's due to the reasons of the club situation during a concert. They all could download an app and connect to the musician's server, and then move their phone, waving the phone, and depending on how they waved, it changed the sound from the guitar. How does it work? So there was the audience having an app to control the sound. By waving the phone using the accelerometer, it controlled a computer, or actually the whole data was kind of calculated in a more or less democratic way, how they waved. And then the signal calculated from the audience controlled the stereo panorama of the guitar. So depending on where the sound movement should go from the audience, they heard the guitar playing more from the left or the right speaker, which was again the feedback to the audience. And in addition, they could even see the effect because the calculated movement of the phones was displayed on screen as well. So that was so here was more or less the cycle, how the audience could interactively participate in the concert, somehow play together with the band. Here's another example, without smartphones and without any particular technical mean, with a balloon. So in this case, there was, as you see in the picture, a big red balloon in the audience. And the audience could move this balloon freely during the concert or during a particular piece. And the position of the balloon in the room, like the 3D position basically, controlled the sound of the piano. That was the idea of this piece. So the band was playing on stage, and the audience did the sound effect of the piano. How did that go? Here's the audience, and there was a balloon. The balloon was tracked visually, and the position of the balloon was sent. Well, not the position. The position was sent to the computer basically, where it was in the room, and again it controlled the effects device of the piano. Like the higher up the balloon was, the more effect was, and the further in the back or the front the balloon was, there was a parameter of one effect, and left or right was another effect. And with this simple mapping, of course, they could very obviously hear what happens, because when they gave the balloon a push into the air, then it started to sound very different. And when it went down again, then the effect stopped. And that, of course, was very obvious to the audience, because they could obviously hear the sound moving up and down, and they could see the balloon as well, and to see what happens. So these are two examples among various examples for audience participation on a technology-based level, basically, using technology to enable new ways of interaction in live music, apart from the obvious ones. And in that particular, actually in both studies, when you have this scenario now, you have the audience, you have the musician, and you have the technology and the music. The musician actually say two sides, they say lots of there's a broad opinion basically among musicians whether they like it or not. For instance, some of them want to keep control of the music, obviously. Others like the idea because it is a whole new experience for the audience, for the musicians as well. So it's, yeah, ambivalent. On the audience side are some other aspects, like, of course, as an audience member, you want to see your influence when you do something. It doesn't make sense when you use a smartphone and do something and nothing happens, and you say, yeah, you're participating, but there is nothing. That's boring. Some others maybe don't want to participate at all because they just want to sit in the concert, especially if you think of a classical concert. In a classical concert, you usually want to sit in there and just enjoy the music without being disturbed, without even being disturbed with your neighbor scratching his nose or something. And so on and so on, yeah? But of course, on the other hand, it could be excitement for the audience because they have a unique experience as a team, or they can actually control something within the concert, whether it's just the light, not necessarily the music. And on the technology and music side, it's of course the big question, is that possible at all, like from a technological perspective, or how can this work at all, yeah? So that's a matter of either music, like artistic, aesthetical aspects, and as well technical aspects, whether we can control the data in a way we want the data to be controlled or not. So interaction within the whole system of digital music instruments can happen in many ways and on many levels. Whether it's very deep or not, whether it's using a technical device or just a balloon or whatever. And in the end, it depends on preferences, ideas, choices, aesthetics. So it can have lots of reasons why you do something or not, why you give control away as a musician, or why you let the audience particularly kind of participate or not, depending on possibilities from the technology, aesthetics the musician wants or someone else's requirements, the venue gives you any novel ideas, a nice idea how to do audience participation, and so on. And there's a tool which is called T-Map design cards, and here we are now at the ideation part, where the link comes to the last semester's lecture. T-Map stands for Technology Mediated Audience Participation, and this is actually what we just heard. This is more or less using technology to enable audience participation in live music. And as we just saw here, you need, above all, given that you want to do it, you need ideas for it to maintain it or to create it first. And these cards help here, or they guide you through. That's the idea of these cards. And for those who haven't attended the last year course and the whole ideation and design thinking part, design cards are a common method to help to design, as the name suggests, design tasks basically. And they exist in various forms, like whether it's architecture or innovation or design patterns, or this is called Ideenrausch, like right here. So there are plenty of design card sets which are more or less cards, like playing cards, but with a very particular content on it, or just pictures like these ones, and you use them for various purposes in various disciplines for various tasks. But in fact they are tangible, and that's the idea, that you actually use a design tool to create ideas, to generate ideas, to frame your ideas, to develop ideas, and that's the basic idea. Yeah, inspiration, structuring, discussion, exploration. So these are the keywords associated with design cards. They should trigger your imagination, your inspiration, and help you to structure a design process. And that's what the team of cards do for music and for interactive music, basically. They are a set of 50 cards, and here also the theory ends because you will use them. So this is already an explanation for your in-lecture workshop and then your homework. So there are 50 cards. 3 of them, no, actually 4 of them are violet, and these are the description cards, or the one title card. And then there are 46 design cards in 4 colors. So 4 colors are 4 categories. You have the category motivation, interaction, influence, and role. Come to that soon, what that it means. On each card is a challenge, a design challenge. That's what design cards should do. They should challenge your imagination, they should challenge the group who uses it to think about something. Then there's an explanation. If someone does not understand what the challenge exactly means, because the challenge should be challenging, then there's an additional explanation on the card, what that could mean. And finally, if you turn the card around, like here, then you have a suggestion. So if you fail, well not fail in terms of, but if you do not get along with the challenge, even the explanation doesn't help, you get at least a suggestion what to think about. Yeah, so they are two-sided. Now about the categories, because that's now the substantial part for the particular design topic for music interaction. First we have a role, which are the red cards, which define who you are. So when you design something, it is very, very interesting to get a new role. Maybe you heard about the 6 thinking heads method, or the 5 Whys, 5 Ws, where you intentionally think about that you're something and someone else. If you think about the user, if you think about you're the engineer, if you think about your customer. Same here. The red card gives you a particular role within a music performance. The yellow card is a motivation. It asks you, why are participants involved? So we have the live music setting, and the question is, why am I within this setting? Why am I involved? Or what is my motivation to be involved? So it has particular aspects, like here, the challenge, social reasons. It's a more obvious reason why you are at a concert, because it's social. Or feeling togetherness with others. So that's the yellow category, the motivation. Then we have the third category, which is influence, blue category. And then the question is, what is the target of participation? So you as an audience member or anyone else in the performance participates somewhere or participates to some extent. And the question is, where does this participation target to? So it can be influence the creation of the sound or anything else. So there are a couple of challenges, and within the challenges there are, again, explanations and suggestions. So that's where it can go to. And then the last category is the interaction card, which is the green one, which asks you, how does the participation happen? Because that's key. That's the black arrow with the 2 sides, basically, which describes and defines the nature of the interaction. For instance, consider the quantity of the interaction participants. So, of course, it makes a difference if there are, like if we jam together now, or if it happens in a stadium where there are 10,000 people. So that's a whole different story. You have to consider during your design session. So these are just 4 examples, and again, there are 46 cards defining all sorts of aspects within the design space of a live performance, which enables some sort of interactive or technology-driven participation. Yeah, that's just a summary here. You see, again, you have the audience, you have the musician, and the technology music. The kind of the diagram we had before, and the 46 cards describe more or less all or lots of important aspects within this interaction cycle or environment. And for the design session itself, and now that's the fun part, there's some sort of rules which are written on the pink card or the violet cards, and again, you start to pick a role. Usually design sessions are done in groups of 2, 3, 4. It's not, you can do it alone. I mean, not here, I'm just talking about design workshops in general. But you get the most out of it when you do it in a small group, let's say. It doesn't make sense to make it in a group of 20. But all of these methods are, like especially the ones who should generate particular ideas or shape ideas or structure ideas, they happen in groups of like 2 to 5, I would say, or 3 to 5. So, everybody in the group picks a role. So everybody picks a red card and gets a role, which from that moment on, for the first round basically, gives you a particular role to think as. Then, everybody draws a card of the other 3 categories. So like, after you have a role, you put the red cards away. It's like a game. That's why this is cards. It's like a card game. But you're winning together because you have an idea in hand, and that's your winning condition. And with the other cards, which are like 40 cards left in 3 categories, they are shuffled, and everybody picks 1 card. So just randomly, and based on the card, you read the challenge and have an idea, or think about an idea, basically. That's the first step you should do. So create an idea. If you don't get any clue what the front side means here, and don't have any idea, then you can turn the card around and read the suggestion on the back, because the suggestion on the back is very concrete already. So that helps you to get an idea, because that says already a particular suggestion what to think about. And when everybody has thought about the card and developed an idea, then the idea is discussed. And here comes the nice point. Now we have, like, for instance, 3 different aspects, and we have to find a common ground within this discussion and think about our ideas basically, and try to find a common denominator. That I think the chance is 50-50 that it works out or not. And if it doesn't work out, then you can discard a card and go to step 2 and draw another card and try again, for instance. And that's how, with this particular design card set, a design workshop happens. And usually you should really force you to do 2 or 3 rounds, because for those of you who can remember prototyping in HCI, like semesters ago here at this university, the more ideas, the better. And you have to generate as many ideas as possible to get the best idea. So it most likely will not end up with the best idea if we just do 1 round. And it will not if we just end up doing 2 rounds. You will not do 50 rounds because that takes too long, but you should do at least 3-4 rounds to get lots of different ideas. And you will, I promise you will see, if you force yourself in a group or even alone to think about different ideas, you will get them, and they will get better. And not always, but the chances are quite high. Yeah, so that's the design card procedure. So it's pretty simple, in fact, because it's not about the cards, it's more about the ideas. And of course, during such a session, you can take pen and paper and draw some sketches to, first of all, think think yourself about your idea, or communicate it to the team or to the group if you have. Hey, that's a clever idea. And that's what we do now. And we will do a short ideation workshop to try that out here in class. We will use the theory of design cards according to these recommendations of use I just told you. We will do 3 rounds. Again, as I said, to force you in a group to think about ideas, basically. Which means in 3 rounds you can either further develop an idea, but further develop in terms of make some other direction, or you can just build 3 ideas from scratch, just to get 3 independent ideas. Yeah, as I said, you can use pen and paper. I already brought some pen and paper with me if you need some. And you will do that in groups. So I have. I think we make just 2 groups, 1, 3, and 4. And I have the cards here with me. So these are the cards now in real. So every group gets a set of cards and tries to run a workshop, basically. I would say for simplicity, just you 4 and you in the back. Is that fine? Yeah. So then, do you need? Yeah, you have paper. If you need pens or paper, just pick up some here. You can do it as well. Yeah. Although I believe in analog technology for thinking, but it's up to you totally. It is. Not really. Some scientists do not agree that it's the same. Whether you touch, I don't know. We can discuss ages about that. Yeah, let's just you come out here, then you stick your heads together and just make familiar with the cards first, and I think you can stop.